rotate device back. I wasn't even supposed to be going live. I was supposed to be going to the next screen. That's stupid. That's really stupid. That's really stupid. I wasn't even anywhere near the live button. I was 2 screens back trying to get back to the screen orientation when it just decided to say, oh, you're going live now. Anyway, Google and Alphabet are incompetent coders and incompetent programmers that should probably kick each other in the shins until they feel bad for their bad coding. Stream notes for DOA-13649- I don't fucking know, because Google and Alphabet don't have absolute timestamps on their YouTube videos. So I have to wait 2 days to know the exact date. So if somebody typically goes live at 11:59 or 12:01 in the middle of the night, I want to be sure that the date is correct in case someone wants to know what DOA-13649- Google and Alphabet are incompetent coders and programmers, because if they weren't, then I could use this thing called a tooltip view to hover over when the stream aired, and instead of telling me it happened yesterday, it would give me an absolute timestamp, so that I wouldn't have to say stream notes for DOA-13649- I don't fucking know, because Google and Alphabet are lazy pieces of shit. And again, I went 2 screens back because it was complaining about the screen orientation, because apparently it didn't remember to stay in horizontal screen orientation. So I went back, switched it to horizontal, and then I hit the forward button to go forward. And it's like, we're going to cancel out your horizontal, and we're going to, which apparently already was in horizontal, and it was giving me an error message when the phone was horizontal and I tried to go live. So I went back to switch it, apparently switched it into portrait mode, and then instead of going next to the next screen and then having a button to click live, it decided that it was just going to go straight live from the horizontal portrait screen, which it's still in right now, which there's a whole other screen after that when you go live. So whoever develops the software for making YouTube shorts should probably kick each other in the shins until they succumb to their injuries, among other things, if you read the syllabus. Stream notes for DOA-13649 in portrait mode, because Alphabet and Google are incompetent coders and programmers. Typically can't follow the dialogue of watched videos volume too low or ambient sound. That is true. That is true. I have a concern with wanting to be able to follow along with videos that are being watched, and I can't, because I have to watch the captions and try to squint and hear them, but we've already gone over this issue several times with my issues with live streams, where there's no proper audio leveling when you're trying to watch a video or listen to music. It's way too loud for you and not loud enough for your viewers, and Alphabet and Google are just incompetent pieces of crap that need to flush themselves down the toilet. 2736, audio is inaudible. Timestamp 1 hour and 55 seconds. Uriel says the only thing original is phenotype, and there's more phenotypes than they taught you. Phenotype is just a different term for skull sizes. I would add skull shapes. Uriel says it's just a different term for size and structure, and that geographical location, that's how you're going to receive the world and experience it. And that also goes for your mind, your dialect, your native tongue, and how you go about things. So if you were in a bathtub full of red Kool-Aid from the moment you were conceived until today, you would act different and look different than if you were raised in a bathtub full of blue Kool-Aid. Okay, just inherently go with this. Okay, if you were a baby and every day you had to spend most of your time in a bathtub full of red Kool-Aid, you would turn out differently than a baby that grew up in a bathtub full of blue Kool-Aid, based on environment. Your skull structure is going to develop differently based on whether or not you were raised on a train, or whether you were stationary. We can do studies on this. You can have children that moved around a lot as a kid and then become adults, and you can study their skulls. And then you can have children that become adults that never moved ever, never left their town, and you can study their skulls. You can have people that spend copious amounts of time running a train, or people that are tractor-trailer drivers. for 10s, 20s, 30s of years, this will affect the way your bones are structured. It will affect a lot of things. Phenotype is just a different term for skull size. It's just a different term for size and structure, and that geographical location, that's how you're going to receive the world and experience it, and that also goes for your mind, your dialect, your native tongue, and how you go about things. So your mind works the same way your body works. If you're going to have a different skull structure in a different geographical location, you're going to think differently too, and you're going to speak differently. Uriel says, I have a pet peeve against open hammers. Remember, a hammer is just a tool. Bird affects trial and error gene pool. Bird affects crown, sperm. If somebody's always pulling you by your left arm might be sore the next day. But if somebody pulls you by your left arm your whole life, you might become right arm. IART fix team. Phenotype of leadhead. Semi-auto gray matters. Technically, you can be a blue blood. You technically can be a blue blood. You can literally grow up in a family that's really related to enforcement and corrections and authority and force and binding people against their will. And then you can just have kids that just naturally gravitate towards those sorts of things. Gravitate. Atheists equal theists are incorrect. Correct about Abel being incorrect. Atheists say theists are incorrect. And then atheists say, I am correct about Abrahamic religions being incorrect. Atheists are theists that are incorrect, that say that they're correct about Abrahamic religions being incorrect. Atheists equals they sold their soul to science. So they basically said, well, we know Abrahamic religions are wrong, but we don't know what's right. So let's just assume that no religions can be right because they're all fantasy, and let's just stick to the cold, hard facts. Well, apparently, religion is an amalgam of fact and opinion, so we can't just throw the baby out with the dirty bathwater. Religion could partly be based on spirituality and science, and then afterwards people sort of accidentally dropped the when the rockets go up into space and they throw off the boosters and they just sink down to Earth or whatever, like that. Atheists equals sold soul to science. Science equals religion like psychotonomy. Science equals a religion like psychotonomy. Do you know what psychotonomy is? Or Raelians. Do you know about the Raelians, the people that did Clonade? The Raelians. It was some sort of a religion. Or the Palladian fan club. Or the I guess that's a reference to Pan-Africanism. Science is just a very technical religion, a highly stylized, highly segmented segment of religious bodies, and that's a direct quote from Philip Morris, which said, quote, a highly stylized, highly segmented segment of the pharmaceutical industry in reference to the glory of cigarettes. So I'm saying science is just a very technical religion, a highly stylized, highly segmented segment of religious bodies of theory and practice. Jesus didn't walk on water. Virgin Mary didn't give birth without being impregnated or having an egg fertilized. Mario bubble, Super Mario World. Does Mario have a bubble? Yes, he does. I don't get that. I think it should have said Sonic Bubble. But sometimes Mario can eat this balloon and he can float. If you worship your government, you worship your aldermen too. If you worship your government, you worship every single government employee, including your groundskeeper willies and your librarians and your surgeons if they also go out on the Coast Guard 2 weeks a year. All arms, all legs, that's bad unless there is a gate. You know, two arms, two legs ain't bad unless there's a quake. All arms, all legs, that's bad unless there's a gate. Will slip the Khashoggis to a sponsoring state. You familiar with the Pearl Jam song? Two arms, two legs. That's great. Two legs ain't bad unless there's a quake. All arms, all legs, that's bad unless there is a gate. Will ship the Khashoggis to a sponsoring state. Masons aren't chosen, they chose themselves. Boy, doesn't the plot thicken on that one in the next book. We're currently reading from this is book Paul. Masons aren't chosen, they chose themselves. Sometimes very early on. MMs aren't decided, they choose that decision, like a master mason. Uriel says, where you're crafting, timestamp 114.2023, timestamp 114.23. Uriel says, where you're crafting the mind of the world, righty-tighty, right? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The MM is boss. All hail the the double M. As we devolve into unquote, getting off to a picture of a patent for a brim hat or kitchen chair. What's this rectangle inside rectangle? Yes, the flag for a certain country is a rectangle inside of a rectangle. But also the rectangle is in the upper left-hand corner, and all flagpoles have a ball on top of them that is above the flag, indicating that information or light is the king of all flags, including your flag. Getting off to a picture of a patent for a brim hat or kitchen chair. Whatever gets the job done, right? Right, Masons? Homer Gummy. Do you know about the Homer Gummy? Chintzy Pop. You don't know about the Homer Simpson Gummy? He just wanted the gummy, but somebody suspected that he wanted something else, and Homer didn't really have the mind for that. So everyone knew that he was innocent in a sense, but no one could disprove the fact that while he was trying to get that gummy bear, he may have made minor contact with that woman's bum. To you, it's the suit and tie for the job interview. To the MM, it's all about the vibe behind the design for the top hat, tux, chair, cigar box on the floor, and whiskers in the sink. Truants, move on, cannot stay long. Some die just to live. Slow guitar solo plays. Remember, there's two methods. 1. Use objects, grandpa, Bible, or 2. Bake your own spirituality from nothing, from scratch. And to truly do that, you can't use things such as second-hand alphabets and pre-existing dusty old nutshells and pre-jeweled. The quote is from Ren and Stimpy, is dusty old nutshells and pre-chewed gum. This says dusty old nutshell, as in shell, and then knots, as in tie a knot, and pre-jeweled guns. So the neckbeard caveman will literally just make shit up to try to trick you using symbolism and animism. I'm an artist. You give me a freaking tuba, I'll get something out of it. Quote from The Departed about some musician. John Lennon, maybe. Like a waiter hotel napkin or a musician tapping spoons at a restaurant. The MM can't not practice the craft like a baker bakes or a writer inks and thinks. So it's important to understand that the more wise that I become, the more hammers I'm going to need and the bigger hammers I'm going to need, because it's just not going to cut it anymore. Shit, 6 hits won't even get me high no more. So bye for now. I'm going to go and try to find some more. Come on, everybody. Getting down tonight. So once you become an MM, you can't help but become a nation builder because it's in your blood. Kind of have to. That's the beauty of being able to become aware for the first time again, is that you just keep going up the ladder, and then eventually you have to rule the world, otherwise you're wasting your talent. So the neckbeard caveman will literally just make shit up to try to trick you using symbolism and animism. I'm an artist. You give me a freaking tuba, I'll get something out of it. Like a writer hotel napkin or a musician tapping spoons at a restaurant, the MM can't not practice the craft like a baker bakes or a writer inks and thinks. Lynn says, the neckbeard caveman will sit up in their room and think up ways to get you. You fucking asshole. 4-year-olds are pisspots. Proper posture, don't get AIDS. Punch them in the bread box. Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm going to recycle advice from my son's grandfather to address bullying in the 1980s. Cigarettes versus Happy Meal. New boyfriend, 30 double cheeseburgers. Refrigerator adequacy awards. Okay, Officer Barra Brady. That's enough. In the know. Religion is witchcraft. People that are in the know understand religion is witchcraft. A sheep or an urchin, it's totally true. Your dad's dad is dead. The Masons messed with your head. It's 300 years past since your grandpa was shaking her ass. The 2,000 years is a fantasy gear, like a little kid thinking someone age 30 is, quote, old. Old story equals more credible, believable, overlookable. Is Christianity true? Trinity and rapture are not in the Bible. Trinity and rapture are two concepts that were developed based on literature in the Bible, the same way that you can look at a dandelion and see that there's a circle and that there's little lines pointing out and that it's yellow and that there's little milk inside of the stalk or something. But if you never see a dandelion to begin with, you can't draw those conclusions. And Trinity and rapture are conclusions that were drawn on the dandelion that is the Bible, but there is no Trinity or rapture in the Bible, and I don't think marriage is in the Bible either. And there's a lot of things people associate with the Bible, but weren't technically spoken there. Trinity and rapture are terms, concepts that were developed after the Bible was read or written. Everyone except you blaming Brad's flatulence on you doesn't prove the gas came out of your ass. Everyone except you blaming Brad's flatulence on you doesn't prove the gas came out your ass. Little Hormel the Mart stuns. Little Hormel the Mart stuns. Mart stuns. Well, that could be Martian. Little Hormel. Heels dig in is a practice. It's a mind disease. Heels dig in. He grabbed the straps of his backpack. On March 18th, 2024, he grabbed the straps of his backpack. He resisted being erect. May the Tin Man's member be covered in sores that do not heal, and may he purchase a new package of tidy whities every single week, and may the Tin Man's pension be awarded to a prostitute, and may he lose use of his dominant hand early in life, and may all of his sons lose use of their dominant hand early in life, until I come across a family that tells me a story as another spirit in another body. And I say, that reminds me of a story that I read in a book somewhere. And I'll be reading a book about the Tin Man, and I won't even know that it's about a story that I experienced. I'll just be another spirit in another mind in another body. And I'll learn about a man who had a child, and a child had a child, and a child had a child, and they all lost use of their dominant hand. And I'll be like, that reminds me of a story. And someday I'll make a connection about Silent Night and the Tin Man. But as a spirit and a mind and a body, I may not be cognizant of the fact that that was a descendant of the Tin Man. But I will still forget and smile. Everyone except you blaming Brad's flatulence on you doesn't prove the gas came out your ass on March 18th, 2024. Heels digging is a practice. It's a mind disease. Red Cross. Sabbath is make-believe. Sonic Spike masochists. I'm Jim Jeffries. I think we could all do better. For all possibilities, for all possibilities, arrow, long in quotation marks, might be okay. Spoken for carrot, more or less stick. It's very coded. Spoken for with a slash to the O, carrot, more elastic. We should be more elastic. But what is this? Sonic Spike Masochist. I'm Jim Jeffries. I think we could all do better. Red Cross. Heels digging is a practice. Well, if you're stubborn, it's a practice. So being open to new things is a practice. So the more that we practice being open to new things, the more that we can be like, I tried it, I don't like it, let's go back over there. But if you're always the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to try it because I know I'm not going to like it, the heels digging is a practice. And once they get you into that, I'm not going to try it because I know I'm not going to like it. And everybody knows a kid that wouldn't try a certain food because they thought they wouldn't like it. Once you get into that mentality as an adult, you'll just go with whatever religion is handed to you. So that ends the stream notes for DOA-13649- Google and Alphabet don't have absolute timestamps until 2 days after a stream airs. So I did not know the date of this stream at the time. So, I mean, all you have to do is let me hover over where it says stupid stuff like yesterday. It could just tell me the time and the date. If the videos could just tell me the time and the date when I hover the mouse over it, so that I don't have to go back later and find out what the full call numbers is for this stream, for these notes, for this stream, these notes based on that stream. It's lazy and it's stupid coding, and Alphabet and Google need to step up their game because they're going to have competitors, and they're going to be strong competitors, and they're going to become a subsidiary of the competitors the same way that, like Yahoo, they could have bought Yahoo. Google bought YouTube. Whoever sold YouTube is probably spinning in their grave. May they live to 120 years. Stay safe, but stay dangerous.